Some of the best weapons in Fallout 4 you can get super early on in the game, immediately after leaving the vault at level 1, without even doing a single quest. But let me know down in the comments what your favorite weapons are in Fallout 4. First up, we have the Big Jim, which isn't necessarily my favorite weapon on this list, but it can be incredibly strong early on, especially since it's a unique weapon found right next to the starting point of the game, and you can get it literally in a couple of minutes after leaving the vault. If you're just starting the game, I have an entire video on getting the best weapons and items at the start of the game, but during that video we come across Walden Pond, and once you get there you can look across the pond and see an opening to a sewer. Inside of there are some raiders, and by the way, in the first room on the left hand side is a green duffel bag which contains a hunting rifle inside of it that is pretty solid early on as well, especially if you go over to a workbench and turn it into a sniper rifle. But continue through the tunnels, and in the bigger room that has a safe, just above it you can find the Big Jim unique weapon, which is extremely easy to miss since it just looks like a junk wrench that you see everywhere else. But there you go. If you only look at the base damage, it's not too crazy. I mean, if you have 1 point into strength like me, it's especially not too great, but the reason that the Big Jim is so good is because of its attack speed. Well, I mean, it's not extremely fast of an attack speed, but it's faster than most of the heavy weapons, plus its unique ability that gives you a 20% chance to cripple the enemy's legs no matter where you hit them, and it actually visually cripples their legs on some enemies. Like, you hit a super mutant or Deathclaw in the head, and you can watch the most tragic and pathetic thing you can see in this game. It's kind of sad. You can also toss something on like the Hooked mod to also disarm enemies while you're swinging away, or once you level up some more you can toss on something that'll give you some more damage. The Old Faithful laser rifle actually starts off as a pistol, but with its instigating effect that makes it deal double damage to any enemy at full health, I think it's definitely best to use it as a sniper rifle, or at least some sort of rifle, since with that effect you really want that first shot to take them out or at least deal as much damage as humanly possible. And this thing does deal a pretty good chunk of damage. I go to the workbench and immediately turn this thing into a sniper rifle, something you probably can't do until you burn through some perk points, but it isn't super necessary to do. It still does a ton of damage regardless whether you're using it as a pistol, a rifle, a sniper, or whatever you choose. The Old Faithful is super easy to grab. Just head on over to Diamond City's market and talk to Arturo Rodriguez, who will sell it to you. In that best start video, we also went over how to lower prices by a ton, even if you have 0 charisma, so check that out if you think you can't obtain this early. Basically though, wear a suit that you can find in Sanctuary to up your charisma, make grape mentats, which all of those ingredients can be found early on as well, and then craft them at a chemistry station. The Gwinnett Stout that you can find from the cellar in Sanctuary, as well as any other alcohol that buffs your charisma, will also help you out. Do all of that, and even with a charisma of 1, you can easily get it up to 12 or 13 and make these prices super cheap. The Old Faithful really isn't that expensive though, but if you want something like the unique Fat Man that he also sells, which shoots an additional projectile, and it's pretty insane. That thing costs a ton, like I think 20,000 caps or so. At least if you have 1 charisma like me. So you can technically get that early on as well, as long as you sell a ton of junk to get it. So this is probably the only non-unique weapon on this list, but still a legendary weapon, and it is the never-ending double-barrel shotgun. I also have a never-ending combat shotgun here, but early on, it's way easier to grab the double barrel, and it doesn't even matter because what's the biggest downside to a double-barrel shotgun? It only gets 2 freaking rounds before you have to reload, but they are crazy powerful. The never-ending legendary effect makes it so that you never have to reload. It doesn't give you unlimited ammo, but just an unlimited ammo capacity in your imaginary magazine. So essentially an infinite magazine that doesn't run out of ammo unless you are totally out. The downside is that getting this weapon is technically random, but there are methods a lot of people use to get it faster and specifically farm for it, which is by farming legendary enemies. And it's actually not too difficult. If you get some of the other weapons on this list, it's obviously easier to take these legendary enemies out, but not incredibly necessary. To farm legendary enemies and to get them to drop the specific loot that you want, a lot of people like to use the National Guard base over here on the east coast of the map. If you have any other locations, leave them down in the comments. But fast travel over here to the National Guard base and you will find the front office building that you can enter. Before entering, make a quick save, and I mean before quick saving, I would also turn the difficulty up to very hard, since that also increases the spawn rate of legendary enemies. So be on very hard, quick save, and then you can enter the building where the game will make a separate autosave. This is where you'll find about 4 different ghouls. On very hard difficulty, it almost always spawns a legendary ghoul, but if you drop it down to just hard, it sometimes takes like 5 or more tries, which wastes a lot of time, because you need a legendary ghoul to spawn for this to work. If you come in here and do not get a legendary ghoul, reload that quick save that we made. For me, the legendary usually spawns by the window or on the staircase to our left. I don't think any of the ghouls have ever spawned legendary besides those 2. So once you see him, kill the legendary ghoul, and if he doesn't drop the legendary shotgun, you want to reload that quick save and enter again, repeating this over and over until he drops the shotgun. It doesn't have to be a never-ending shotgun though. It just has to be a double barrel shotgun. It could have any effect on it. So after like 15 tries or so of me repeatedly taking out the legendary ghoul and reloading the quick save, the one on the staircase dropped a combat shotgun. If you're doing this super early, I don't think you can even get them to drop the combat shotgun, which is why you're looking for a double barrel. But for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna continue with the combat. So the legendary ghoul drops any type of double barrel shotgun or combat shotgun, whatever weapon you really want. Once he drops the shotgun, if it is the never-ending shotgun, the one that gives you unlimited ammo, you can go ahead and keep it because you're done. But the drop rate on that effect seems pretty small, at least it was for me. So if you don't get it, you need to now reload the autosave. Not the quick save this time, we're reloading the autosave. Reloading that autosave makes it so that the legendary ghoul now spawns in the same spot with the same weapon. It just gives a different effect each time you kill them. So entering the building sort of locks in the enemies and the loot they have, but not the legendary effect on it. Every time you kill them now, it re-rolls and has a chance to give you a different type of shotgun, but it should always be a shotgun now. So now you just want to keep reloading the autosave and taking out the legendary ghoul until it gives you the never-ending shotgun. It took me like another 10 or 15 tries, but I did finally get it. I believe there's some sort of level cap on the weapons that legendary enemies drop, so I googled around and it seems to be like level 28 where the legendary enemies will no longer really drop double barrel shotguns and instead will start dropping combat shotguns. Combat shotguns are great, but for me personally, by the time I'm that high of a level, a lot of the other weapons are better because I don't have to stuff them in the enemy's face to take them out. You could totally use this method to find other good weapons too, like pistols that shoot an extra projectile or shoot explosive rounds are both extremely solid too, and I think both of those you can find at a low level. So obviously farming this on survival mode isn't really possible, but there are plenty of other extremely powerful weapons you can get. Like the Krem's Tooth, for example. A name I probably am not saying right, but I don't really care because this legendary machete absolutely shreds through everyone. Like, it has a legendary effect to deal poison damage, but most of the time you're not even going to need it, especially if you've invested into strength, because most regular old enemies are going down in one hit to max. The only downside is that there isn't a whole lot of customization that you can do with it, but I mean, this thing looks really cool already. I don't think this thing really needs customization. You get this by heading over to the Dunwich Borers, a quarry that gives me New Vegas PTSD, but thankfully there are no death claws here, and instead it's just a bunch of raiders waiting to jump you. Alright, just kidding, there might be a death claw here. I don't know where this guy came from, but mostly it's raiders, and I mean, these raiders can be pretty tough. So if you feel like popping on a stealth boy, you can do that too, but it's a bit of a trek down there where we need to go, and for the most part you can kind of skip past everyone once you eliminate the ones in the quarry or sneak in.
Who's there?
Okay, so after that long trek down here, you will find 2 mini nukes and the Krem's Tooth unique machete down at the bottom of the well. It's the same well where there's like 4 different named ghouls who were all huddled around the well in the flashback. Now, don't go too far, because nearby is where we can grab the Gainer, where we gain the ability to firebend 44 rounds. The Gainer is a unique 44 revolver, so if you're going for a pistol build, I mean that 10mm pistol that you get in the vault is pretty dang solid, and I would still keep it since it uses 10mm ammo and is a lot less expensive. And there's been quite a few playthroughs where I stuck mostly to that 10mm pistol. Early on, right next to Sanctuary at the secret stash that you can find over here on the map after activating the switch next to the lake and following the pipes up, you can find a regular old 44 pistol as well. But that's another 44 pistol that you can get literally right after leaving the vault, and it's like a 30-second walk. But the next best thing is the Gainer, and even at the end, this stays a great weapon. The only things that really compete with it later on is Kellogg's pistol that you get for following the story, and the Deliverer pistol, which is also sort of story related. It can be grabbed very early on as well, because all you have to do is come down to an unmarked location east of Finch Farm and Saugus Ironworks, or south of Hub City Auto Wreckers, which is where I'm starting at, and I'm pretty much already here, so just head to my icon on the map. If you head over towards the water, you might find this house with a Brahmin in the bathroom, but there's also another blown up house closer to the water where you'll see a destroyed bridge and a couple of radiated barrels on some cars. You can look down and find a secret bunker hidden just past that bridge. So hop on down there or use the stairs and enter into the pump house. This is where you can find one of the only puzzles in the game, where you have 4 red buttons. Each time you press them, you can see the number above it change. If you turn around, you'll find some numbers on the wall, 0, 4, 5, 1. There is no 0 on these series of buttons, so that 0 stands for 10. So the first buttons, click it until you get 10, the second one is 4, the third one is 5, and then the final number is 1. The code is obviously a reference to Fahrenheit 451. This whole location has always looked like some sort of Easter egg to me, especially with the skeleton, so I looked it up and one of the developers actually named the Gainer after another developer, and the skeleton is a reference to Hideo Kojima's game called Snatcher. Although I don't know if they changed this in the new update or at some point since I last played, but this skeleton used to be like all bloodied up, and he was a closer reference to that game. Now he's just a regular skeleton. So now over to the Overseer's Guardian, which was pretty much the entire goal of our best start video, so watch that if you want to get it within 20 minutes of starting the game. But otherwise, all you have to do is come over here to Vault 81 on the map, enter with a Charisma speech check once you enter, or pay with 3 fusion cores. A lot of people were saying in the comments of that video that you could also talk to the Overseer after saying that you'll pay with fusion cores, where in that dialogue you quickly look over and drop your fusion cores so that she doesn't even have to take them. Then you can just pick them back up. So talk to the Overseer and then head down towards the elevator down the hall and take it down, where you will enter the main portion of the vault. And in our first shop on our right hand side is where we can grab the Overseer's Guardian. And if you have like 1 charisma like me and no buffs, it'll cost like 4,000 caps. But if you use some charisma buffs through armor and aid, you can easily knock that down to 1,000 or less caps. She also sells 45 ammo, so I also buy all of that so that I'm pretty stocked up on that as well. This rifle shoots an extra round each time that you shoot, so you can think of it as dealing double damage and can be buffed up even more with some upgrades. This thing does an insane amount of damage, especially since you can get it pretty early on. But pretty much anyone, unless you're speaking about a giant boss, can be killed super fast with this thing. For the upgrades, I always toss on whatever upgrades I have unlocked that can beef up the damage even more, and you can toss on a scope if you want, but honestly, I think this thing feels insane with just a red dot sight. That way you can still take out enemies from a distance, but still feels super good up close, where sometimes a sniper scope can get a little annoying. The Overseer's Guardian was pretty much known as the best weapon in the game up until Far Harbor's DLC released. Nuka World also has some good ones, but Far Harbor has similar weapons to the Overseer's Guardian that surpass it. You just won't be seeing those until like mid to late game. Another weapon that takes that same 45 ammo and takes the same amount of time to get is the Spray and Pray. In terms of damage per second, this thing is absolutely insane. It benefits from the Commando perk, but even more from the Demolition perk, which increases its explosive damage. Investing into those isn't completely necessary at first, but putting points into them turns this thing into an almost game-breaking weapon, assuming that you have the ammo for it. Even on very hard difficulty, I run around and put a couple of taps into smaller enemies, or just shoot out a small burst, and it generally takes just about anybody out except for a Mirelurk Queen. The only downside is that it really burns through ammo, where with the Overseer's Guardian, you're dealing a ton of damage with more of a sniper type playstyle, and it saves you on ammo. Here with the Spray and Pray, it is an insane close to mid-range weapon, but you are basically tossing caps into the gutter with it, and up close, the explosive rounds can easily hurt you as much as whoever you're shooting. To get the Spray and Pray, you need to find a wandering trader named Cricket. I typically find her around Vault 81. If she isn't there, there's a shack nearby that you can sleep in until she pops up right in front of the vault entrance near the campfire. But you'll also come across her frequently while wandering around. She likes to travel around Diamond City and hang out there, as well as Bunker Hill. So the final weapon that we have here was added in the most recent and pretty controversial update, and that is the Tesla Cannon. The biggest downside here is that you need to update your game to get it, plus at the moment a lot of people are having issues with the update, but as of now the Tesla Cannon is straight up broken. It is actually insane to the point where I don't even use it because it's just boring. It uses a single cell for each shot and deals a crazy amount of damage with a super high fire rate. And after some workbench mods, you can actually have it chaining onto other enemies. This thing is actually crazy, especially since you can grab it super early on in the game. Like, you get the new quests given to you right after starting the game, and a couple of them lead to the Tesla Cannon. These two missions here, the 3 whatever it's called quest, and then this one, both will give you a Tesla Cannon. This one leads you over towards the bottom left-hand corner of the map in the crazy radiation zone. The final objective to it can be sort of confusing because you have to follow some sort of distress signal. The percentages go up as you get closer to it, and it brings you over to a plane crash. If you come over to this location at the main plane crash, you'll find a smaller piece of the plane off to the right-hand side, and that's where the tracker sort of leads you. To complete your objective in there, you have to look down at the body that's stuffed between the seats, and it gives you the option to scan them. I would quick save before you scan this enemy, because as soon as you do, a boss enemy comes out with a Tesla Cannon, and that weapon is just as overpowered. So especially if you're early on in the game, save if you can, if you're not playing on survival mode. And then I actually had to run back a little bit of distance and start sniping them. Once you get through that though, it is totally worth it, because that Tesla Cannon might be the most overpowered weapon in the game right now. The other mission, this one here, is that to get it, you have to take out a group of Enclave enemies who up close will tear you apart, but if you grab one of the last few weapons that we went over, that makes it extremely simple to do, and I honestly think I struggled less with that one. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Leave any of your favorite weapons in Fallout 4 down in the comments, whether you can get them early or later game. Subscribe for more Fallout 4 videos. See ya.